She's out of here. I married my wife 4 years ago. It was my first marriage and her second. We seemed to have had a good relationship, and I thought all was well. But a little over 3 weeks ago, I discovered she was having a full-blown physical affair with a contractor who had worked on our house. When I followed her to his apartment and confronted them together, she made a huge scene and she and him both X'd me together. I managed to X the crap out of him, but I ended up Xing her too and giving her a bloody nose. The neighbors called the cops on me, and the other guy were both taken in. I made my own bail that same night. When I got home around 3 a.m., my wife was not there. She was probably at her shady girlfriend's house crying on her shoulder. I told my steps and what had happened. Then I packed my personal belongings and valuables up in my truck, and I left that same morning. I immediately went to the bank and pulled out about 10K from an account we share. Then I drove away and have not been back home since. I am currently staying with a buddy at his place in a little unknown town about 2 states away. He has gotten me a job driving for his trucking company, and I have no intention of going back to my cheating wife. Of course, she has been texting me nonstop since that night, claiming she wants me back, that she has broken up with her lover, and apologizing for me along with her boyfriend. She claimed she was only trying to keep me from hurting him because I am much stronger and bigger than him. But it is a lie. She X'd me because she was mad at me for breaking up her affair, and because she has a vicious temper. Her son is pissed at her too, and he went and told all her family what she had done. He called me the other day to tell me she had kicked him out of the house after she found out he outed her to the in-laws. Everyone is texting me and calling me and wondering where I am. I have told no one where I am at, and now that I have a job here, I feel I can start over. My question is, can I divorce my wife from the state I am currently living in, which has much more fairer divorce laws than the state my wife is in? Or do I have to file in the state where she lives? I'm afraid if I try to divorce her back in her state, she will be able to get more from me than she deserves. I also want to know from all of you if I should go back and confront my wife. My buddy has told me I can stay as long as I need and until I get a place here, but he also says I should not run from my problems. I don't think I'm running from my problems. From where I am at, I am able to think a lot clearer than I would if I was back there. Also, I'm afraid I would let her talk me into taking her back, which I promised myself I would never do. She knew that cheating was the one thing that would break us up for sure. Well, she did it, now she can choke on it. But I wanted to know what you all think. And some might ask what happened to her first marriage. My wife says her ex used to X her, and she ran from him and divorced him back around 2005. I met her in 2013, and we dated about a year before I let her talk me into marrying her. Looking back, a lot of what she told me about her first marriage didn't add up. My gut told me not to marry her. I should have never done it. I never met the ex and never thought to ask the in-laws if what she told me about him was true. They never talk about him, so I figured he was dead to them. I asked my stepson if she cheated on his dad, and he says not that he ever knew. So, I don't know if she ever did this before. I have to appear the end of July for my court date. I think I'll go see a lawyer there and wrap up all my business at once. I just want to get this over with and get on with my life. I have to appear in court at the end of July. So, I have to go back anyways. I was the one who initiated the fight. So I will stand up and take my punishment like a man. They only charged me with one count of him. I guess my wife told them some story because I wasn't charged for her. I guess I owe her that much. My wife and I don't have anything to split. There is no alimony in her state that I know of. The house is a rental. I have never had a pot to piss in. I don't make much as a truck driver, and my wife has bounced from job to job. We only have about 23K in a money market account, and that came from a big bonus I made on a driving job I did in Alaska 3 years ago. I took less than half of that when I left her. She can have the rest. I don't want it. Well, I did get one piece of revenge. I took our dog with me. My wife loves that dog. It's killing her that I have him. Probably over half the texts she sends me are asking how the dog is doing. One damn thing is for sure. She will never see him again. I know my wife was pretty wild in her younger days, and yes, she went through a phase with cocaine. But as far as doing hard meds during our marriage, no, I never noticed anything suspicious. To be honest, I am the one who tends to drink and party too much. My wife has always been pretty temperate, but this experience has proven to me that anything is possible. If she was strung out when she attacked me, then that would go a long way and explain why she turned coat on me. I just got this string of emails from my wife. I went ahead and engaged her a little for the first time since I left. Check out her thought process. Why haven't you been answering? I know you are getting my messages. Talk to me, please. I can't believe you are going to throw away our marriage because I ducked up. I told you I'm sorry and I mean it. How many times do I have to say it? Will you just let me know you are okay? Me, I'm okay. Funny you are worried about my well-being now. You did not seem worried when you and your boyfriend ganged up on me. I'm glad you are okay, and that is not what happened and you know it. I was trying to keep you from hurting him, and I didn't want you to go to behind bars. You completely overreacted. Hello, where did you go? Me? How am I supposed to react when I find out my wife has been sleeping with another man and then see her kissing him in a parking lot? How would you react if you saw me kissing another woman and knew I had been sleeping with her? What do you want me to say to you, Opie? How do I make this right? I met him, and we got carried away. I never meant for any of this to happen. It was a mistake and I'm sorry. Please come home so we can work this out. I'm not seeing him anymore. I won't ever see him again, I promise. I love you, and I want things to be the way they were before. Hello? Why do you keep leaving? Where did you go? Me? Things can't be the way they were ever again. Obviously, things were not as good as I thought because you went outside our marriage and had slept with a piece of crap like him. How can I ever be around you knowing you defiled yourself with that filth? And as for what happened in that parking lot, I was there. You jumped me and tried to rip me apart. I have the scratches on my face to prove it. How am I supposed to ever trust your cheating BS again? You are not the woman I thought you were. What you did was a choice and not a mistake. You can think what you want, and that is not the way it happened, and you know it. You had no right to come there and try to manhandle me. Yes, I shouldn't have cheated on you. That was wrong, and I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. But it was just as wrong for you to ex a man who is smaller and weaker than you. And for what it is worth, I only slept with him that day before you came over there. And it wasn't even that good. You are much better than him. Me? Oh, that just makes me feel so much better. How sensitive of you to only slept with him once. No way you did it once. You can't keep from lying, can you? Whatever, think what you want. Me? You know what? Save your apologies for someone who gives a crap. I want a divorce and I don't want to drag this out. You take your things and I'll take my things. We'll let the lease on the house run out and we'll go our separate ways. I can get a mediator to draw up a divorce agreement for way cheaper than a lawyer can. I'll pay all the fees. All you have to do is sign the agreement. I'll make it easy for you. Then once we are legally separated, you can go out and have fun with all the bikers and weird guys you want. Do whatever you want up on through. That is the way it has been going back and forth. She continues to defend her other man. No remorse. Nothing. Nice update. This whole thing is a nightmare. The thing is, if you met my wife, she comes across as a very well-spoken, clean-cut, white-bread type of presentable lady. There is nothing outwardly scuzzy about her. She dresses neatly and conservatively, isn't festooned with tattoos and piercings, and she's in very good shape and looks much younger than her 43 years. I can't wrap my head around her actually dating and sleeping with this guy who looks like a cast member from Sons of Anarchy. I just don't get it. I'm not a bad guy. I work hard, never done anything wrong. I'm big but not fat. I don't think I look bad for a 45-year-old. I try to dress halfway neatly. I help out around the house, help cook, do all the handyman stuff and car repairs that a blue-collar guy is supposed to do. I always thought if you took care of your woman, treated her right, helped out, and told her I loved her enough that I was doing what a husband was supposed to do. I'm not a particularly nice guy either. I was a Marine. I work in trucking and construction. I've had lots of women in my time, and I have my share of sordid tales. I can handle myself, and I don't back down from a fight. I thought I was a good husband. I just don't get it. I'll be filing in her state. I just talked to a lawyer yesterday, and she is putting me in touch with a paralegal who does mediation. Oh yeah, I get 20 texts a day from her. She's pissed again because I'm not responding. I'm going fully dark now. I may call Sprint and have her number blocked. Oh, absolutely, her boyfriend is the victim. Poor, tough man got his back handed to him for messing another man's wife. And how did I catch them? Used her phone to call my mom, and the text messages showed up on the screen with "Hey baby," or some such. I got into her texts and read through about 4 days of filth. I actually had to go in the backyard and throw up. Anyway, they talked about wanting to see each other again, but had to wait until her idiot husband was gone out of town on a driving job. So next day I lied to her and tell her I'll be gone a couple of days running a trailer somewhere. I left that morning but came back a while later, and sure as crap she got in her car all dolled up and I followed her from a distance to his apartment. Saw her walk in. I went down the street to a diner and waited there for about an hour. Then I texted her and told her I was home and that the driving job was canceled. And where was she? She said she would be home in 30 minutes. I waited about 5 minutes, got back in my truck, and drove back to the apartments and parked where I was just down the street but could see her car. When they came walking out together, they started kissing by her car, and that's when I drove in and surprised them. She threw away a good marriage and a guy who loved her for some random guy. I'll never understand it. Not being able to understand it is worse than these images going through my head. I feel like my head is going to explode. I thought back and honestly, up until I discovered the affair, I saw nothing. Either this was a whirlwind affair and it happened suddenly, or it has been going on a while and she is just a really good actress. I'm probably not going to ever know the details of the affair because she would probably just lie if I asked her. I really thought we had a good marriage. We argued like any couple over mundane things, but we always made up. We had way more good times together than bad. She was my best friend, I thought. We went on a date every week, and I always tried my best to please her in bed. If she was dissatisfied with me, why didn't she ever just come out and tell me so? She owed me the benefit of the doubt. I could have fixed whatever I was doing wrong. I don't want her losing it and spitefully telling me about all the guys she has been messing with behind my back. I spent a lot of time out on the road last year, so she has had lots of opportunity. Especially when my stepson was gone for school. My trust in her is shot to hell forever, and my love is dying by the minute. Get this. Last night she started sending me pics of herself and is back to begging me to come home. What the hell? I feel like Dorothy, wondering when the flying monkeys are going to come bursting through my window. Comments? You need to block her calls and texts. Your original plan of going completely dark is the one you need to stick with. I think you are doing very well. You have made all the right moves so far, except for that lapse yesterday when you engaged her. There is something fundamentally broken about your wife. Yes, there is a good possibility this is not her first time cheating. I would surmise that infidelity may have played a role in the dissolution of her first marriage. She may be a cold, cool, calculating player who gets her kicks and her ego fed by seducing and having fun with lots of men, and keeping a husband on the side to pay bills. It is a distinct possibility, and pretty sure you must divorce in the state you were married. Opie responds, well, I got off the phone with my lawyer in the other state. She will have her paralegal, who is a mediator, get with me to draw up a divorce agreement. This lawyer will also represent me in the misdemeanor case. After I told her the whole story, she is pretty sure that I won't get more than probation and a fine. One remark that she made in a text she sent me last week was something to the effect of, I don't understand why you got so violent. It was only a one-time thing. That guy means nothing to me. So, does that mean any guy she sleeps with means nothing to her? I slept with her. Do I mean nothing to her? It was only a fun time. Guess that was supposed to make me feel better. I had a long phone talk with my stepson this morning about this very thing. He is now sleeping on a couch at his friend's apartment because he doesn't want to go home and deal with his mother's bullcrap. He has only been living with us during summer break for the last couple of years. But I asked him if during those times prior to graduating and during summers with us, if he had ever thought his mom might be stepping out on me. He told me to his knowledge never. He is just as shocked and confused about what his mom did as I am. He is also severely pissed off at his mom. He told me I was the best thing that ever happened to her, and he cannot believe she threw the marriage away for a piece of crap like the other man. He is a great kid, and I hate to see him have to deal with all of this while trying to negotiate college. So, at this point I don't have any proof she has ever cheated on me before, but from everyone's posts I am not discounting the possibility. It just sucks that I had to find out this way. I would rather she had just told me a year ago she wasn't happy and we could have divorced and gone our separate ways. Yes, it would have hurt, but not like this. And last night I went to a 4th of July barbecue with my buddy, and there were 2 or 3 single women in their late 30s who were chatting me up, and one even gave me her phone number. So, when I am ready to date eventually, there will be no shortage of available ladies here in this town I'm living in. I really like this town. I'm not crazy about the job I have, but I'm not complaining. Cement truck driving is not my cup of tea, but there is an opening for a school district bus driver here. I have a TP and an H endorsement, so it should be no problem to pass the state test here and get AP endorsement too. To haul kids, I'm heartbroken over my wife. but I see myself making a nice future here, a fresh start. She just sent me an angry text about how she is going to pay the bills. How is she going to make rent? And on and on. I haven't answered any of them since that conversation I posted a few days ago. I'm going to call the landlord Monday and tell him the situation and see if I can get out of the lease. I need to block her. I was going to do it last week, but never got around to it. I barely know. The piece of crap, and I plan to tell my landlord his contractor is the reason he's losing a renter. I have no problem hitting this guy where he hurts, and I'm leaving her more than half the money. I earned that money driving a gravel truck in Alaska in the winter. That was hard-earned cash. The woman can choke on it. Hopefully she'll prepare the rent so my landlord doesn't get stiffed. Then she can move her tattoo stud in, and he can watch my big screen and sleep on my lazy boy. Just got off the phone with my stepson. He went over to the house to pick up the rest of his clothes, and he said the minute he walked in the door his mother lit into him. She was demanding he tell her where I was and was threatening him. He told her he did not know where I was, which is true, and said he wouldn't tell her even if he did. So, I guess she kicked him out for good. Poor kid. Luckily, he has a good friend who has taken him in, and they are going halves on an apartment. He says the wife looks awful and she acts like she has been drinking or did something worse. I'm beginning to think more and more that she is on something. Talked to the landlord and gave him the short version of what happened. He's been thinking of firing the OM for a while because he's not good at what he does. He is just cheap. Well, he says the guy is gone as of tomorrow. So at least I have satisfaction of knowing I got the guy canned from his contract. Bad news is I can't get out of the lease unless he finds a new renter. He says I should wait and see if the wife can pay the rent. If she can't, then he will start the eviction process. He will work with me given it was his contractor who screwed things up. Almost forgot. I have a Skype meeting set up with paralegal who is going to draw up the divorce agreement next Monday. I'm actually excited. She emailed me a bunch of forms I have to fill out, a bunch. Since I don't sleep anymore, I spent most of last night filling out the divorce agreement forms. It is a weird feeling to be doing so. Stepson called me just a few minutes ago and said his mom told him to come and move all of his belongings out. She's mad at me, so she is taking it out on him. I arranged for a friend of mine there who owns a storage unit to let him stow his stuff there. Poor kid. I feel bad for leaving him alone to deal with her crap. Small update, I got a line on my own place to live. Talked to my boss last night, and he has a single wide trailer out on the back of his property that he lived in while he was building his house. It has electric, water, and its own septic. He says if I do work on it and fix it up, I can live there rent-free for a few months while he goes down to Mexico to run a mine. He and his wife lease down there. So, while they are gone, I would basically be the caretaker of his little ranch. I'm very excited. This would give me the opportunity to save up money. Spoke to my stepson this morning. I guess his mom has calmed down a bit and they are talking. Now she wants him to move back in. She apologized to him. So I guess he will be moving back. I told him to do what he could to get along with her and to concentrate on saving money for college. I also thanked him for sticking up for me in regard to his mom and her family, but that he needed to concentrate on himself now and his schooling and let me fight my own battles. I have about 90% of the paperwork for the divorce agreement ready, and I am planning to break the silence and call my wife and let her know that the agreement would be drafted next week and will be coming her way for signature. I know most of you will say I should stay dark and let the lawyer handle it, but I know how my wife operates, and if I am going to try to get her to agree to this, then I need to talk to her in person. I only plan on calling her. In her state, the mediation process does away with her having to be formally served, so my law firm will just mail her the paperwork. What I want to do is clear the path and let her know beforehand that it is coming and not to freak out on me. If she wants a regular courtroom divorce, I will give her one, but I don't think she will want to do that. If she stays in the rental house, she will be making barely enough to pay the rent and utilities. She won't have the money to hire a lawyer of her own. And given the fact that we have no real assets other than our old crappy vehicles, she would be stupid to want to do a divorce by any other means. Then mediation. My landlord is a good guy, and I have never been late on a payment during the 2.5 years I have rented from him. He has made it clear he will work with me. If he can find a renter, then he will let me out of the lease. The catch being the wife would need to move out quickly. She has a boatload of personal belongings and detritus saved up from over the years that she won't get rid of. So, moving her might be a challenge. I suspect the wife will use the $13K to pay the rent. It should cover about 10 months' worth. She likes that house and won't want to lose it. I checked the account and noted she has not taken anything out. Shocker. So when I call her next week, I might ask her what her intentions are about the house. If she wants to stay, I'll tell her she needs to use the money. If not, then I need to let the landlord know so he can start advertising. Well, for a quick update, I called the landlord and talked about a few things, he mentioned, without my asking that. He had not fired the other man yet because the piece of crap is still behind bars, lol. My stepson called late last night and is back living at home. He says my wife is a wreck and is barely speaking to him. I will be moving to my new trailer tomorrow. There is no internet service out there and cell signal is weak. So I may only be able to check in maybe once or twice a week. I'll stop by the local fast food and use their internet to post updates. Other than that, there is nothing new to report. Divorce paperwork is filled out and I faxed it to the paralegal yesterday. I have a telephone meeting with her on Monday to go over the details and then she will draft up the agreement and mail it to my wife. I plan to call my wife after Monday sometime and let her know it's on its way. I'm sure that will be a dramatic phone call and I'll let you know how it goes. Just a quick update since last week. I had a good long phone call with my mediator this morning. We went through all the paperwork I sent her and she filled in the blanks and we are good to go. She should have the divorce agreement drafted and sent out by this Friday the 19th. She will send it certified mail to prove my WW received it. Because of that, I decided not to call my WW and tell her it is coming. She will have to sign for it at the post office. And I thought, why should I give her any kind of heads up or advantage over me? I want to keep the advantage on my side. She can hire a lawyer after she gets it. My move out to my new place is complete and I could not be in better shape. It is a 12 by 45 mobile home out behind my boss's house. Out at his little ranch in the country. It is an older model trailer, but it is in very good condition. My boss lived in it when he was building his house and then he refurbished it about 8 years ago for his mother-in-law to stay in when she visited. All the carpet and paint and everything inside is still fresh and nearly new. The trailer sits under some cottonwood trees and there is a pond about 50 yards away behind it. All sorts of deer and other critters come around to visit every morning. The trailer also has a little fenced yard behind it for my dog. I could not ask for better. My stepson is doing okay, but he is trying to arrange for his own place. We spoke a couple of times over the weekend and he says that the WW disappeared overnight on set and did not come back home until about 7 o'clock yesterday evening. She wouldn't tell him where she went, so I assumed she was out bar hopping with her girlfriends and probably crashed out drunk at one of their houses where she was with the OM. I cannot say I feel better about my situation. The last few days have been a dark hell actually. I try to stay upbeat but I feel like I'm dying inside. I don't eat much. I'm probably drinking more than I should and sleep is a memory. I miss my wife so bad it physically hurts, and whenever I close my eyes to sleep, I see her having fun with the OM. Talked to my mom yesterday. The wife has been calling her every day. Nonstop. She says my wife sounds like she is unhinged. I told my mom to block her calls. I weighed myself at my workplace last night. I've lost 22 pounds in 3 weeks. Is that normal? I don't eat more than one meal a day anymore. I know people have all owed me I should stay dark, but at some point, I have to talk to her about I should probably call her Monday and clear the air. Just a quick check-in before I leave to travel back to the other state for my court appearance. Talked to my WW for the first time yesterday, mostly silence and her bawling. She did ask me when I was coming back and I told her flatly I was not. She had not received the divorce packet yet, and she tried to persuade me to wait on divorce a few months to see if she could get me to change my mind. She promised if I came back, she would do anything and everything to make it up to me, and that the OM was probably going back behind bars for other things, so he was out of her life for good. She claims that my being gone has shown her how much she needed me. I responded with no way. She wasn't nasty or anything. She just said do what you feel like you need to do. I told her I was going to be in town tomorrow and that I wanted to come by the house and get some more of my belongings. She said she would be gone to work, but asked if I could stop by her workplace so she could see me one last time. What do you guys think? Should I go see her? The goal now is to get my WW to sign the divorce agreement. It's a very fair agreement and I told her so yesterday. So we will see how it goes. I have a suspicion she will stonewall me and delay it as much as possible. I just want to be done with the whole thing. I'm not really angry today. I'm just emotionally tired and mentally worn out. Some good things are happening. I am getting more hours at work and the assistant manager at the company I work for says she might hire me on full time. It all depends on this one driver they have who says he might leave at the end of next week. I also got my temporary permit that will cover me until my residency requirements are complete. I put in my application for the school bus driving job, and the lady at the school district says she will call me if they want me to go take an exam. If that happens, she says I am a shoo-in. The bus driving gig would be just up my alley. I'm tired of driving big rigs and I could probably work a side job along with it. One of the reasons I stayed single for so long was because I was an independent operator. I knew better at the time I was trucking that marriage was out of the question. The money was not good enough to support a wife and kids, and I was on the road for weeks at a time. I had a little place that I called home, but I never spent any time there. Trucking can be a lonely life. That's why I sold my truck and settled down when I met and married my wife. I don't regret it. The trucking took a toll on my health, and frankly, I had grown tired of the life. So, over the weekend, I was making calls to my WW to find out if she had signed the D agreement or not. I could not get hold of her. Come to find out last night from my stepson that she had disappeared after work last Friday and did not come home until 6 or so yesterday evening, strung out and looking like a death camp inmate, and collapsed into bed and would not tell him where she had been. My stepson says she is losing weight fast. She is not keeping house, and he spent all day yesterday cleaning house because she is letting it get filthy. She's a mess. Tried all weekend and this morning, but she is ignoring me. I do admit I worry about her. I still love the woman, God help me. My stepson is working on getting into his own place by the end of the month. He's pretty scared that she is going to end up in the gutter. He doesn't know if she is still seeing the OM or not, but she barely talks to him anymore. She just shuts herself up in her room all evening. I knew when I met her that she had gone through problems before, and it angers me that she went through all that hell and cleaned herself up. Then she married me, and now for no damn good reason she jumped back into it with the OM. It's just such a waste. Well, it is official. My stepson called me this afternoon. My wife got picked up for possession of X. I feel like I got my guts ripped out. Why do I care? I fell apart a little last night. I looked back through my memory, and I guess I should have noticed the signs, the staying out late, the mood swings, the way she would often disappear for hours at a time without telling me. Me being a trusting fool, I never thought to question her. It feels like the whole past year or so has been a sham. Tomorrow is a new day and I will move on. The mind is the hardest hill to capture, but like my grandpa used to say, keep your eyes on the objective. Never stop moving towards it. Run, stoop, crawl on your belly for a mile to get to it if you have to. Man, I wish he was here to kick my rear. I called the police station where my wife's at. She has been charged with 1-count possession for sale of X. Holy duck. That is a class 4 felony in her state. She could go away for 5 years. Stupid ducking woman. Stupid, stupid, stupid. My stepson is a wreck. Just a quick update. I drove down Saturday night and had visitation with my wife on Sunday. I only got to see her for about 15 minutes. I brought the divorce agreement with me, and she signed it. So that is done. That was my main reason for going. Not much was said. She sat there in her orange jumpsuit, looking like an old woman I could hardly recognize, tears running down her face. I did not play into her or chastise her. We just sat and didn't say much. She knows she is in deep trouble. I asked her if the X she was caught with was from the OM, and she said no. The OM got her back into using it. She told me she hates herself and hates what she has done. I asked her if it was worth throwing me and her son away for X, and she just sat silent and cried more. After a while I got sick of the silence and I told her good luck with her case, and then I got up to leave. Then she asked me if she could email me, and I told her yes. I gave her my new email and I said I would be there for her to talk to, but I made it clear I was not getting back together with her. Then I left and drove home, and that was that. My stepson is hurting. He's angry, sad, scared, the whole gamut. I told him he was a man now and could make his own decisions. I wish he would stay in school, but I can tell he is not rushing into decisions. Good news is, I found out that the WW actually paid up 6 months of rent to the landlord. So my stepson at least has a place to live for the next few months. I told him if he needed help with utilities, I would send him money. As to what my WW did with the rest of her money, I have no clue. She probably blew it on Craig. While I was at the house, my stepson and I thoroughly searched my WW's room and the rest of the house for anything else left by her. I found a shoebox under her bed, but thank God no X. What really pissed me off was all the lingerie she had in a box in the closet. She never wore that crap for me, and I never saw them before. She must have bought them for her OM. But even then, I hope the court goes easy on my WW, as angry and hurt and devastated as I am. I really don't wish to see her go behind bars. In fact, the thought of it terrifies me. I'm torn between whether or not I want to be there for her through all of this. I'm still mad as hell at her, but as much as I try, I cannot hate her like I wish I could. I no longer want to be her husband. In fact, when I saw her, I was a bit repulsed. She has aged 10 years in the space of a month or so. It is really shocking how X and stress can age someone. On Monday, I mailed off the divorce packet to the mediator. So, the D process is on. At least I don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm wrestling with doing the email thing. She's only allowed computer access once a week for something like an hour, and even then, the emails are monitored by the guards. Any emails I would get would be emotionless and matter of fact. I want to kind of be kept up to speed on her hearings and what is going on, but I think after she is sentenced, I will be pulling back a lot, and I may even cut off all contact at that point. Another crazy thing happening is all these nasty calls and texts from her family. According to them, I am to blame for her being taken by the cops because I left her. Her family are bottom feeders. In many ways, she was the best of them. Calling them trash would be a compliment. I have started blocking their calls and text one by one. Her mom is being particularly nasty. I told her mom yesterday that the only wrong I ever did her daughter was loving her. My comment. This is part one of a two-part story because it is quite long. Hope you guys are learning something from this story so far.